if you're watching this, you're probably exhausted. You're exhausted from trying to manage your emotions, or tired of tracking your triggers, or monitoring your tone, or trying to read the room, and trying to forcefully just sort of let go of your anger and your resentment that just seems to constantly bubble up inside of you. And unfortunately, the self-help industry loves to tell people, just be grateful, just let it go, focus on the positive. Well, that's just toxic positivity. So when you tell yourself, just let it go, you can't actually let it go. You can't be grateful. You can't be positive. Instead, you suppress it. You minimize it. You condone their poor behavior, and you just, in the process, unfortunately, justify your own self-abandonment. So you can't simply let go of an emotion. You have to attach to it, experience it, and grieve it, and release it. I know none of us want to do that. We just want to cover over things. Give me the magic pill. But unfortunately, you have to go through that process. But the good news is, in doing that, it detaches from you. Right now, you're stuck in an endless loop of symptom management. And so you have a communication breakdown with your partner, and you read a book on communication scripts, or you feel anxious at work, so you download a meditation app. You feel overwhelmed, so you just try a new time management hack. All of those Band-Aid solutions, none of them dealing with the root. More suppression, more minimizing, more toxic positivity, more let's try this magic pill where I don't have to deal with what's really going on. Unfortunately, it's the equivalent of trying to fix a blown transmission by just polishing the hood of your car. You're taking all of this fragmented knowledge, whether it's a communication trick here or a boundary script there or whatever it is, but none of it is actually addressing the engine that drives your life, and that engine is our emotions. And therefore it's useless because you're treating the surface symptoms while the root cause is buried deep underground. So in this video, I'm going to show you why managing your symptoms guarantees you're going to stay stuck. And what you're going to stay stuck in is something you probably don't know. It's the hidden childhood mechanics. That's the engine. That's why your body reacts the way it does. And I'm going to show you how to finally heal the root cause using my emotional authenticity method. It's the only method on the market with any of the processes, CBT, DBT, IFS, emotional intelligence, all of them. This is the only one that fixes the engine of whatever is running or is creating problems in your life. It starts in your emotional engine, and emotional authenticity is the only process that's going to fix every piece of that engine. All the other ones are just shining the hood of the car. They're not dealing with the root problem. So to understand why, all of these symptom management tools fail, we first have to look at your body's baseline. So to do that, I just want you to think of your nervous system like a thermostat, okay? Now, a well-adjusted, healthy, emotional nervous system thermostat generally runs at 98.6. At 98.6, you feel calm and present. You feel grounded and safe. And when a stressful event happens, your temperature might tick up, spike a little, 99, 100, but you can manage it. But because your baseline is healthy, your body will naturally cool itself down, and you'll get right back to 98.6, all right? But what if you grew up in a house that was chaotic? What if you had parents that were highly critical or emotionally unavailable? Or maybe they were inconsistent, or there was a divorce, or they were explosive, or mental health issues, or no parent at all. Maybe you were adopted. Whatever it was, in order to survive that environment, your nervous system had to adapt. So your emotional thermostat got set permanently, cranked up to 105 degrees. Now, you don't notice it because it's always been that way from the beginning. And so you just developed an emotional fever that's been running, but since it's been running so long, you're not really aware of it because you live at that 105 degrees all day, every day, throughout your entire childhood. So you didn't even notice it. It just became your normal emotional thermostatic temperature. And that explains the phenomena of the high achiever, or the overthinker, or the chronic people pleaser, the codependent, the one who's attracted to narcissist, the one who can't get away from the narcissist, the obsessive person, the perfectionist, the ADD, ADHD, severe anxiety, autoimmune flare-ups, migraines, all of these things. It's just a thermostat that's been set high. And underneath that is a constant feeling of never being good enough. So the nervous system is regulated at 105, and for some of you, 110 degrees, depending on exactly how chaotic and imperfect childhood was. So there's so much internal instability that you can't focus or feel a sense of worth, or when the external world is chaotic or demanding, you can't, attach to it and navigate it because it doesn't match that internal fever. So here's what happens when you try to manage those symptoms when you're running such a high fever. You're walking around and you have that 105 degree emotional fever. And so you try a traditional coping skill, which is kind of like taking a piece of paper and using it as a fan to lower your temperature. Here, just wave this in front of your face and you're going to feel better. It's absurd. It doesn't work. So if you're not actively regulating the root cause of why you're at 105, and if you're naturally running 100, 102, 105, 110 on a good day, the moment your partner sighs heavily or your boss critiques your work, you're just going to spike even higher. Now you're in danger zone. All right? So the physical body is just boiling over. And so you kind of go into a fever-induced coma. So at 110 degrees in your emotional body, for some of you, that creates a freeze response or a panic attack or a screaming match or a total just shutdown and collapse. Nobody can manage a 110 degree emotional coma with any traditional coping skill or communication script or, meditation app or anything like that. You have to lower the internal emotional thermostat that's driving the temperature. So why did it get set so high? It comes down to a process called emotional absorption. It can be the same as emotional enmeshment as well. So what a lot of people don't know is that you don't learn your emotions intellectually. Children absorb them. Children have no emotional boundaries. So like a straw, they suck in whatever emotional experiences their parents are going through. Okay? So long before you had language, like most of this happened in the first 3 years of your life, before you could even talk or most walk. You just downloaded the emotional climate of your home. You absorbed your parents' unresolved trauma, their shame, their fears. Like I can think of my parents had big fears around money because my parents were very young. When they 16, 18, when they're married, 4 kids at 21 and 23, very expensive, trying to build your kingdom and also feed 4 kids, all athletes. And so money was always scary. So I developed an internal emotional thermostat of fear around money and absorbed all that tension from my parents. Okay? What did you absorb? What was the emotional environment in your childhood? What were your parents afraid of, ashamed of? What did they get upset about? Whatever it was, because a child has absolutely no emotional boundaries, your nervous system just fused with theirs. You learned their emotion is your emotion. Their stress is your responsibility. So to survive this overwhelming emotional absorption, your brilliant, childhood brain had to create what I call emotional dead spots. Now, a dead spot is an area of your original emotional blueprint that you simply just had to shut off to survive. So if expressing anger got you punished, you created an anger dead spot. That was me. I was never allowed to be angry. Took me until a lot of deep work before I could actually authentically allow myself to get angry. What if for you it was about crying, and crying made your parent withdraw? You created a sadness dead spot. Maybe having needs made you a burden, so you created a needs dead spot. So you just learned to anesthetize all of those feelings. But that's a trap. And this is the trap that's running your thermostat. When you have an emotional dead spot, and it's on the inside, it creates an emotional blind spot on the outside. And that's why you're with the narcissist or whatever else is going on in your life. Because you weren't allowed to feel your own anger or have your own needs, you develop a blind spot where you interpret your partner's neutral face as hostility, or in the case of a narcissist, you miss all the signs that were right there. For somebody who grew up in a different emotional climate, they see it immediately, but you don't. You have an emotional blind spot because of the emotional absorption from your childhood. So if you're not allowed to have your own needs, you develop blind spots in those areas where you interpret that your partner is asking for space as a complete catastrophic abandonment. Okay? This is where symptom management just traps you. It's not even having you consider any of that. So you and your partner are going to spend 3 hours fighting over the blind spot. Well, you'll argue about who said what, or what their tone of voice was, or what their body language was. How did they say it in the wrong way, and argue over who's to blame. So all you're both addressing is the symptom. You're fighting over an illusion, because the real issue for both of you is the emotional dead spot from your childhood. That's where the emotional blueprint fever started. And that became what isn't being dealt with is your emotional permission system. All right? It was hijacked in childhood. And you were just terrified to feel all of that. So you suppressed the emotion and buried underneath it. So I want to give you like a visual for exactly what's happening in those moments of conflict, so you can see how deeply you're reacting to that root in your in your childhood emotional blueprint, and you're not reacting to the present moment. Okay? So when you're triggered, when your thermostat's running 110 degrees, you look across the room and you think you're seeing your partner, or maybe your friend, or a coworker, or a boss. But you're not when you're spiked up like that. You're seeing a ghost from your childhood wearing your partner's face. And when your partner tries to explain themselves, or they get quiet, or they ask you for a boundary, your body doesn't hear it, doesn't register it. What it registers is my adult partner is trying to, it doesn't register that your adult partner is trying to communicate with you. Instead, your body registers the parent who minimized you. It registers the sibling who mocked you and made fun of you and was sarcastic towards you. It registers the authority figure, coach, preacher, teacher who shamed you in front of everybody. Their face becomes a mask worn by your original childhood wound. So this is why your conflicts escalate so quickly. And they feel like life or death survival. And you have so much emotion around them because the emotion, the original emotion that created it, has never been dealt with. So your adult body collapses into that same childhood fear and the shame and the childhood helplessness. And you're just trying to use a communication symptom manager to talk to a complete ghost. It'll never work. You see, there's no magic pill for any of this. For all of us, we have to address the elephant in the room, which is all of our unresolved childhood emotional blueprint meanings. These meanings that we all developed before we can ever actually see the human beings that is standing in front of us. All right? Unless you address that, you will never see your partner or any other adult in front of you. You will always bring the person's face who did the original wounding and put it on top of them. So you're going to have to learn to look at that ghost and say, I'm not going to react to you. All right? I know that I'm reacting to the memory that's still hurting me inside. So then the question becomes, how do we stop fighting the ghost? How do we wake up our dead spots and lower that emotional thermostat for good? Well, we have to drop the symptom management, the bubblegum, superficial skills and tools, the search for the magic pill, and we have to move to root cause regulation. And we do this through a proactive daily practice. So you can't wait. The goal here is don't wait till you're triggered, till you notice that your fever is now so high it's at 110. You don't want to do healing work then. You want to be proactive, because by then your survival persona has hijacked your complete emotional furnace. You got no shot. All right? So you have to do the work when you're lower at 99, 100 degrees. And so I call this tool my alarm reset system. It's paired with a somatic process that'll teach you how to down-regulate and get that emotional thermostat back towards 98.6. All right? So here's what I'm going to suggest you start doing. You're going to set an alarm on your phone, and you're going to set it to go off every 60 minutes throughout your day. And when that alarm goes off, no matter where you are and what you're doing, you're just going to pause and you're going to take the aspirin to lower your fever. All right? And the first step in this is a somatic practice. And you're going to use 5 senses to down-regulate yourself and your body. All right? Now, you've got to get out of those racing thoughts. And the only way to do that is to use a somatic practice. So what you're going to do when that alarm goes off is you're going to run through your 5 senses. The first one is the most important, and it's the one you have to start with. Stop and ask yourself, what do I hear? Like right now, what do you hear? I'm just going to pause. What do you hear right now? I hear the guy across the street running a skill saw. I hear the hum of the refrigerator. I can hear a little bit of a breeze on the trees. I just heard a nick in the ceiling. What do you hear? Now, you're going to move to your next sense. What do you feel? Your body, like I'm feeling my rear end in the chair. I'm feeling how my ankles and feet are hooked around the legs of the chair. I'm feeling my shirt against my skin. I'm feeling my toes inside my socks. Okay, maybe you can feel your back against the chair. Whatever it is, focus on that. Now ask yourself, what do you see? So you're trying to stack these on top of each other. Okay? First, listen, then feel, then see, then smell, then taste. All right? Try and do this in 60 seconds. If you don't have that time, you're at work, the alarm goes off, if all you have is 15 seconds, focus on what you can hear. If you can extend it more, keep adding senses as you go along the way. Now, the reason this is important is it halts that trauma chemistry. It brings you into metacognition, which is the space between emotion and intellect, and it immediately downregulates you. It brings your adult nervous system back online and takes you out of running that childhood emotional blueprint. All right? Step 2 in this is my emotional authenticity method questions. So once your body is grounded, you ask these root questions because we're going to get to the root solution of this. And the first one is, what am I feeling right now? Grab a feelings wheel off my website or go to Google. Look at it. What am I feeling? Then ask yourself question number 2. Where in my body do I feel it? Is your chest tight? Do your toes curl? What's going on? Again, we're building the bridge to reconnect ourselves somatically. Then you're going to ask question number 3. What's my earliest memory of having this exact feeling? By doing this every single hour, what you're doing is you're catching the emotional absorption before it hurts. And that third question brings you into truth. It shows you that your earliest memory was when you were 2, 5, 7, 10 years old. So now you have proof. None of those other skills and tools are going to work because they're not dealing with the root. All of your symptoms that you're experiencing are generated by that original emotional event that you've never healed. That's the cause of your problem. And that's why none of those things work. And that's why you do this system. Okay? This shows you where that blind spot got created. And now you're seeing who the ghost is. And you can now see how you use that ghost and put it on your partner's face. And so you're teaching your brain to bounce in and out of regulation. All right? You're titrating by getting present to not only how the moment has triggered you, how the past is being relived. You can move within that space. Do you see what that does? That's like a thermostat, up and down. So you're basically, by being proactive and doing this when you're not triggered, before you're triggered, you're making emotional bank deposits. Every time you do this, when you're not stressed, when you're not in the moment of the ghost moment in the blind spot, you're wrapping a new neural pathway, what's called myelin. That's how there's no such thing as muscle memory. When we get good at something, it's because we wrap so much myelin around the circuit in our brain that it fires quicker, faster, and more precise. And so you're building a thick, insulated cable of internal emotional regulation, thermostatic safety. So that, and you're doing that so that when a truly stressful situation comes up, you got so much money in the bank, it's not a problem. And that way you don't spike to 110. You stay regulated. You stay in your adult, authentic self. And you lead your life from truth and no longer trauma from the past. So stop trying to manage your symptoms. Stop trying to polish the hood of the car while the engine is on fire and blowing up. You don't need another life hack. And there's no, I hate to say it, there's just no magic pill out there. All of us have to do the root level work. And the only process that anybody's offering you that actually addresses all of this at the root is my emotional authenticity method. And when you use that, you can become the mechanic who can diagnose and fix your emotional engine and emotional thermostat before it breaks down and catches fire. So I want you to just realize that when you have these moments and you have this fever and you have all these illnesses and stresses that pop up, it's not because you're broken. You're not too sensitive or overwhelming or too weak or whatever it is that you're saying. You're just simply a person with unhealed childhood pain and shame who developed a brilliant survival persona and learned to absorb other people's shame and pain and use that identity and to protect yourself. And so you just have a nervous system that's stuck living in the past. But you're completely capable of healing, all right? Because it's just a blueprint. It's just wiring, and it can be remapped and rewired. So if you're sitting there feeling a bit overwhelmed and needing some immediate guidance, I have something that will really help you. Head on over to my website, kennyweiss.net, and you're going to find down at the bottom, there's a little conversation button on the bottom right. And that's my brand new AI clone. It has everything I've ever said, everything I've ever taught, all my solutions, every framework, diagnostic tool, everything loaded into it. It's literally like talking to me. All right? And you're going to be able to talk to it and ask it anything you want. It's completely free. It's like literally having a one-on-one session with me. All right. You can ask it about your triggers, your relationship struggles. If you want to learn more about the emotional authenticity method, the authentic self cycle, the worst day cycle, how any of this, any of the neuroscience behind any of this, it's all in there. Just type it in. It'll answer you. You can have a conversation with it. It'll give you exact root cause feedback. Same stuff I would give you. So test it out and get the help you need right now. Now, while you're there, if you're interested, you can also take my completely free childhood emotional assessment. If you want to learn more about your triggers and make it easier to see where you developed your blind spots and your emotional blueprint. And you can also take my emotional blueprint quiz. Both of those are going to help you identify the exact emotional origins of your worst day cycle. All right. For those of you who are ready to map out all of your specific triggers and just stop the loop for good, you can check out my books or my classes or my emotional freedom assessments. Whatever you want to check out, just pick the one that's right for you where you are in your journey. Now, the links to all of those are in the description below. And maybe you don't want to do any of that, and that's fine. Just take your time processing everything you learned here and recognizing there isn't a magic pill and there's only one way out of this. You have to go become an expert in your emotional dead spots that created your emotional fever, and you have to do the work to heal them. All right? Whatever choice you make, I just want you to know that when you're ready, the solution's waiting for you, and it's root level, it's not symptom based. Okay? And finally, most of all, just don't forget, you're not to blame. This isn't your fault. You're not broken, and it's also not your parents' fault. None of us are broken or to blame or damaged. We all are just doing the best we can with the information we had at the time. The stuff I'm talking about just wasn't around when our parents were raising us. They didn't know, all right? But now that you've watched this, you know more. You can actually now know that you can equip yourself with the root tools to do more if you want to. It's just a choice if you want to do it or not, all right? So you're not to blame, you're not defective, you're not broken. You're just programmed, that's all. But your programs can be rewritten. So I'll see you in the next video.